So, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this session on three new religious movements of East Asia. These three movements are not here together by coincidence. On June 2018, during the conference of CHESNUR, my organization in Taiwan, you see the leaders of the three religions sign an agreement to cooperate. Now, I represent CHESNUR. That's not a new religion. It's a research center in sociology and history of religions, which was established in 1888 and has organized 31 conferences. That's a very rare image of the first conference in 1988. When we established CHESNUR, some people could say very bad time, because very few people in the academia were taking seriously new religions, and even in the 80s, some people say religion in general will disappear, like famous anthropologist Anthony Wallace say religion will become extinguished pretty soon. But that didn't happen. Some people will say perhaps today there is more spirituality than religion, but it's also true that some older religions decline, not Islam though, but some new religions have appeared and are growing. Why new religions keep appearing? There are many theories, but in general, history is accelerating. From the French Revolution on, there are many changes, and old religions sometimes are not very quick in coping with such change, and so people look for new religions. And in some areas, this acceleration of history and the rapid modernization is quicker than elsewhere. Not coincidental. In the New York area, many new religions originated in the 19th century, including Mormonism and spiritualism. And in some Asian countries, including Vietnam, South Korea, and Taiwan, modernization is very rapid. So it's not surprising that new religions also developed. Here is a recent book about Vietnam. Of course, Cao Dai is the largest new religion in Vietnam, but there are several hundreds new religions. Most of them published only in Vietnamese, so they are not well known to foreign scholars. Cao Dai, however, is unique because there are many religions which put together traditional teachings and elements of Christianity, thousands only in Africa. But Cao Dai also has a third component, Western esotericism, because some of the French who came to Vietnam, they were not Catholic. They were Freemasons or Theosophists or spiritualists. So they really put together three different traditions: Christianity, the three teachings of the East, and Western esotericism. And it's precisely why it was able to integrate Western esotericism, which was the culture of the elite, the French elite, that Cao Dai was so successful in Vietnam and beyond. Also, esotericism was the spirituality of the French upper class, and this spread to the Vietnamese colonial upper class. So integrating spiritualism and esotericism for Cao Dai meant legitimizing spirit seances, divine revelation that Catholic missionaries will liquidate as superstitions, and also claim that these things can coexist with science. So I believe that was the genius of the founders of Cao Dai, to see something that Western scholars have discovered only recently, but things like spiritualism, esotericism, the occult are hidden but not peripheral part of the Western tradition. Here you see Caudaillas sort of canonized Victor Hugo. And Victor Hugo, in a way, is very representative of an alternative French culture, alternative to Catholicism. So let's move to Taiwan. Here we find another successful new religion, Weixin Shenjiao, but Taiwan is regarded by some scholars as home of the largest number of new religions per capita in the world. And they integrate the three teachings with other sources. So Taiwan is a land of religious effervescence in general, but there is a political reason why new religions flourished. In 1987, martial law was abolished, and non-traditional religions became more free to operate in Taiwan. Another reason is the Cultural Revolution from 66 to 76 in mainland China. A lot of the traditional heritage of China was destroyed during the Cultural Revolution, and Taiwan developed a policy we should save as much as possible. And so new religions like Weixin Shenjiao, who are in a way the guardians and the preserver of Chinese traditions, became very popular. Now, Weixin Shenjiao is one of the newest Taiwanese new religion. Was founded in 1984 by Grandmaster Hong Xuan, and it grew rapidly to some 300,000 members. Why new religions, I try to explain why they are successful in Taiwan, but why Weixin Shenjiao in particular is successful? Well, many people are interested in I Ching and Feng Shui, and Grandmaster Hong Xuan is recognized as one of the world's greatest authorities in these matters. They went to Taiwan, talked to other new religions, and they say, oh, even our leaders, when it comes to Feng Shui or I Ching, they go to Grandmaster Hong Xuan Shanxi to ask for explanation. So since I Ching and Feng Shui are very popular, even if they are dismissed by some intellectuals as superstition, it doesn't matter. Most of Taiwanese and Chinese, they like I Ching and Feng Shui, and Grandmaster Hong Xuan, being such a great specialist of I Ching and Feng Shui, his movement is very successful. Now let's move to Korea. Korea is a textbook case of modernization and political unrest. Everybody was interested in Korea, Japan, China, Russia, the West, and also Korean society was in a deep social crisis in the 19th century due to corruption of Confucianism and social injustice. And that generated two movements: the success of Christianity on one way, Christianity very successful in Korea, and on the other hand, the rise of new religious movement. In a way, the ancestor of all Korean new religious movement is Donghak, Western learning, Eastern learning, sorry, as opposed to the Western learning of Christianity, founded by Shoji-yu. And Shoji-yu was executed in 1874, but his followers kept asking for his rehabilitation. In 1894, there was a civil war, the Donghak War, and the rebels almost won, but were defeated first by Chinese and then by Japanese troops. In this religious context appears a crucial figure, Kangxun-san. Kangxun-san predicted that the Donghak revolution would fail and that the renewal should be spiritual renewal, not through revolution but through cultivation. Kangxun-san which is regarded as the incarnation of the supreme God by his followers, didn't really appoint a successor, but many recognize Joseon San, who was not a direct pupil of Kanjun San, but received a revelation from him and was recognized by the family of Kanjun San as the successor in the orthodoxy. Joseon San incorporated a new religious order in 25, Mugeukto, but had to disband it because Korea was under Japanese occupation. Japanese didn't like new religions, but after the war they reconstituted it with the name Tageukto. And when he died, he left the religious orthodoxy to Park Budang, and for 10 years everything went well, all the followers stayed together, but after 10 years there were internal problems, and Park Budang left the headquarters of Tageukto in Busan and established a new religious order, Taizong Shiliwe, in 1969. Now, Taizong Shiliwe was phenomenally successful. It may well be the largest Korean new religion today, and it's very well known for its social welfare and charitable activities. That made Taizong Shiliwe very respected in Korea, even among people who may not agree with their religious teachings. And that is largely due to his key spiritual principle called Haewon Sanseng, or resolution of grievances for mutual benefices. There are many grievances in the world, they should be solved. And I believe in the situation of Korea, which is a lot of social problems and international problems with North Korea, this principle of Haewon Sanseng is perceived by millions of people as really solution of many problems. Now, this social welfare activity is a common trend. It's one of the reasons these three religions cooperate, because Weishin Shenxiao is also very much active in two directions. One is world peace and cross-strait dialogue, dialogue with mainland China at the scholarly level, spiritual level, cultural level. Grandmaster Hong Xuan is very active in this field. But the other is social work, particularly in 1999 in Taiwan, the terrible earthquake, the 1921 earthquake, and Weishin Shenxiao was very active. Number one was teaching people, if you use Feng Shui, your homes will be more resistant to earthquakes, but they didn't limit themselves to this. They really helped the homeless, and this evolved in a large activities in the favor of homeless in both Taiwan and mainland China. Cao Dai, of course, lives in a socialist country, Vietnam, so it's a different social situation. But before the war, before World War II, Cao Dai is really a massive network of social services. It was a sort of a national welfare agency, and adapted to what is possible now in Vietnam. They should try to have educational activities for children, benevolent activities. So I believe all these three religions show, of course they are millenarian, they talk of an earthly paradise, but while they talk, they don't only talk, but they try to make this world better for their fellow human beings. This is an article which appears in August 2017 in The Atlantic, popular American magazine. Why are there no new major religions? Well, before answering, the question is wrong. There are new major religions, only they are not headquartered in the United States. So you have to look elsewhere. And in Latin America, by the way, there are very large religions like the Mexican Light of the World. And in Asia, there are very large new religions. So if you know where to look, there are new religions. Of course, America Scientology. So it's perhaps not new, it has been around since the 1950s, but even in the US there are large new religions. So the question is wrong, we don't need to answer this question. Now, for Asian new religions, particularly for the three religions of the Memorandum of Understanding, their challenge is globalization. Because if you look at their theology, Cao Dai, Wei Shin Shen Jiao, Tenzin Chiliwe, their message is universal. It's not only for Vietnamese or Taiwanese and Koreans, but how to spread their message abroad, how to present them to Westerners. And that's the real challenge for the late 21st century. How these global religions potentially global becomes actually global and spread their message throughout the world. And I believe coming to gatherings such as the Parliament of World Religions may be part of their reflecting on how to globalize their message. And here you see the three leaders again. Now I want to make a critical statement. We should have had a representative of Cao Dai, Reverend N, today, but the Canadian authorities didn't give him a visa to come here. He is young, they were perhaps afraid he would remain in Canada, but I believe it's very sad that because of his bureaucratic complications, Reverend N could not be with us today. We don't blame the Parliament. The Parliament tried to support his visa application, but it's sad he couldn't come. So we have a PhD candidate from US, currently in Korea, as you see from the dress, at Daejeon University, Jason Greenberger, and he has studied Cao Dai and other Asian new religions, and so he graciously accepted to speak about Cao Dai, but still want to put on record that Reverend Ed should have been here today.
Hello, good noon, good afternoon, good briefly afternoon. Let me find my presentation, I'll just be a moment. Okay. Today I'll be doing a brief introduction to Cao Daism. I'd like to give a special thanks to Cao Dai Overseas Missionary, to Reverend Kang. Unfortunately, as Massimo mentioned, he won't be able to make it today. I'd also like to thank very much Tenzin Chiliwe headquarters who loaned me out to Cao Daism. That's why I'm dressed in hanbok. So, let's see. What happened? Luckily, Massimo covered that just now. Reverend Kang was not able to make it. Here's a picture of myself, Reverend Kang, and Professor Ning at Cessner back in 2016. I have had the opportunity to present on Cao Daism on a number of occasions. Usually my topics, though, are very, very specific. You might think doing a more general presentation would be easier, but I sure don't think so. Here's the Cao Dai Holy See, very iconic. Even on like Lonely Planet, those sorts of tour guides, it's always recommended. Today's presentation will cover Cao Dai's doctrine, history, and philosophy. And during the final 5 minutes, I'll show a video, and I'll likewise be on the panel during the Q&A session. This presentation was originally Reverend Kang's. I modified it slightly in certain places. So he likes to begin this presentation by reminding people Cao Daism is a religion. Part of the reason why I suspect he does that is because in Vietnam, due to cultural, political, and religious reasons, many of the religions that drew upon Spiritism were easily dismissed as pseudo-religions or cults. And he likes to emphasize that Cao Daism has canonical laws, religious practices, a very, very well-defined organizational hierarchy, similar to the Catholic Church in many regards. Okay, Cao Daism's early history. Forgive the PowerPoint faux pas, I do want to read a little bit about this though, from an essay I wrote. Although Cao Daism marks its founding as having officially occurred in 1926, there are instances of a sort of proto-Cao Daism which unfolded progressively in the decade prior. Ngo Van Chiu, an avid reader of French Spiritist writer Flammarion, began attending seances at Hiepming Temple between 1917 and 1919. It was during this period that he first came into contact with the spirit who identified as Cao Dai Dian Ong. Around 1919, Ngo Van Chiu formed his group of like-minded spiritualists, and they were in frequent communication with Cao Dai Dian Ong. Cao Dai Dian Ong revealed his full title to be Cao Dai Dian Ong Dai Bo Dat Maha Dai. This is the name of God in Cao Daism. It means the immortal Bodhisattva Mahasattva Cao Dai. Let's see. When Cao Daism did begin their official founding, which was November 18th, 1926, they held a ceremony that attracted some 50,000 participants, which raised a lot of eyebrows, as you might expect. 500,000 adherents were gained by the group by 1930, and this grew to 7 million within the years that followed. The figure I mentioned earlier preferred solitary cultivation and quiescence, so Ngo Van Chiu actually declined the papal post which had been offered to him, and instead early leadership in Cao Daism shifted to prominent figures such as Lê Văn Chung, and who was the first pope, and Pham Gong Da, who was the first protector of laws and justice, a title Ho Fap. Pham Gong Da also went on to become the second pope of Cao Daism. Okay, so I mostly covered some of this. The official name of Cao Daism is Dai Do Dangi Fo Do, which is the great way of the third universal salvation, which probably immediately makes you wonder, which are the first two? We'll get to that. Another very iconic image of Cao Daism is the divine eye, and that you can see in pictures of the Holy See, which will be later in the presentation. Right. So the reason why Cao Daists believe that God created Cao Daism is because in the previous two eras, there was room for misinterpretation of his message because his message came via messengers. And through the technologies of Spiritism, such as automatic writing, seances, table tipping, etc., God was able to enter into direct communication with humankind. So as I mentioned, eras of history of humanity in Cao Daism kind of unfold as follows. Prior to the first universal amnesty, Cao Daism holds that humankind was innately benevolent and lived in harmony with nature. Humans during this period were vegetarians. They had only one religion, which was modeled on the Vedic Rig Veda, and despite religious uniformity, God was still known by many names. Towards the end of this era, a desire for sense experience eroded the innate goodness of humankind, and due to this emerging hedonism, people lost their sense of higher purpose. At this point, God intervenes and reveals himself to humankind in a multitude of different ways in different early versions, which of several religions, such as Judaism, Proto-Buddhism, so prior to the life of the historical Buddha, Proto-Taoism, prior to the life of the generally recognized founding figure Lao Tzu, and Proto-Confucianism, prior to the life of Confucius. This amnesty, though, eventually failed. The second amnesty marked another divine intervention characterized by Buddhism proper, Taoism proper, Confucianism proper, and the introduction of Christianity and later Islam. All these great religions eventually fell into dogmatism and interreligious conflicts and also became more prevalent. The third amnesty is Taoism itself, which Taoists hold to have been founded by God. This is one of the messages that they received through Spiritism in 1926. Okay. I think I covered this actually. Hold on. Right, that as well. Okay, objectives of Taoism. There's an objective to unify all religions, and specifically this emerges as unifying, or combining rather, Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, Confucianism, Hinduism, Jainism, and Taoism. And this is a very good analogy, actually. They consider it to be like rebuilding a house. They reuse the items which have, served their purpose well and introduce new items. And this will become a little bit more apparent later. Philosophy, Taoism can be seen as a sort of syncretic synthesis of the East Asian three teachings, which is probably what allows Taoism, Desen Qilihui, and Weixin Shengtiao to see so much of themselves in one another. The red banner of Taoism, red symbolizes Confucianism, yellow Buddhism, and blue Taoism. Later on in the iconography that'll appear, this holds very consistent, and it's a good context clue. Here it is, the banner. And that's the Vietnamese, the full name for Taoism, as mentioned earlier. Though actually it's written kind of as a mirror image. Okay, principles of Taoism. From Confucianism, they took these directly, the 3 duties, 5 virtues. Taoism, 5 jewels, the 5 phases, or the 5 elements. And in Buddhism, what's known as the triple refuge, and usually the 5 precepts are the more commonly used names. So all of these were taken directly, but later in messages received through Spiritism, God would explain why these were excellent virtues to be practiced. Yeah, the Taoism's 5 interdictions are remarkably similar to Buddhism's 5 precepts. I think the final line, actually, there's a slight nuance, but off the top of my head, I couldn't give it to you, sorry. Yep. And Taoism's 4 commandments are certainly very Confucian in nature. Okay, emblem of Taoism. So in the middle, we have what's here described as a bowl of charity. It's like the Buddhist alms bowl that would be used when collecting alms by the monastics. The feather duster, if you will, of Taoism, symbol of purity. And the spring and autumn annals, which are one of the key texts in Confucianism. Fundamental principles. This is a big block of text, so let me paraphrase a bit. Taoism can appeal to people who are coming at it from a moral perspective, philosophical, devotional, spiritual, or aspirational. Aspirational here is in the context of a religious community where there's continual room for promotion and evolution. Institutions of Taoism. Taoism is highly institutionalized, as we mentioned before. This is a good time for a moment of honesty. As a theologian, I am not very adept at ecclesiology, so I'm not very good at this sort of thing. I tend to focus more on doctrine and scripture. Prayers, this will be easier to talk about. The prayers in Taoism are written mostly in classical Chinese. That's the liturgy that's recited at the temple, though it's pronounced as Sino-Vietnamese. Some of the prayers are set in native Vietnamese as well. You'll find both. Structure. Organization, just with some more details. Okay. Some of these positions I don't think are held by human individuals at present, like for instance the position of Pope I think is possessed by the Tang Dynasty poet Li Bai. So he's the spiritual Pope of Cao Daism. There are some other instances where similar events may be occurring in the hierarchy. In Cao Daism there's a secular order of laity essentially, and then there's clergy. And there's also what they present openly, the exoteric teachings, and they're esoteric. And it's interesting, there's a precise order of this. If you want to learn the esoteria, you have to first go through the exoteria. So it's quite similar to most practices of Jewish Kabbalah in that manner. So the purpose of the esoteric way, a lot of this will be recognizable to you as Taoist alchemy. They have the Jing Qi Shen in Mandarin Chinese. And soteriology in Cao Daism is interesting. So similar to Buddhism, the goal is to escape from samsara. However, the means of being liberated are a little bit different. To become a Buddha, of course, would be great, but it's also considered a possibility to escape samsara as a superior spirit, an angel, a saint, or an immortal as well. What makes Cao Daism different than other religions? Well, it has its basis in Spiritism, which is reasonably uncommon. There are some other religions I could think of that do this also, but not that many. Right. And it has a very, very large pantheon of saints, if you will. However, Cao Daism is monotheist. Okay. And in closing, I'd like to describe Cao Daism as a great house of faith. There's, an emphasis on unity and harmony and seeing one another as all siblings under God. And women and men play a role in the religion. They're eligible for almost all of the same ranks. The exception would be Pope. However, as I mentioned earlier, Pope is held by the Tang Dynasty poet Li Bai. So that would be that. These statistics are rather fascinating. So, right, I think I mentioned this maybe a little bit earlier in my presentation, but by 1930 there were 500,000 adepts. Then we can see it grow to 2 million. And nowadays they estimate that it's roughly around 5 million. I've heard some higher estimates at times also. Cao Daist studies is becoming an emerging field, and in countries you might not expect. So there's actually the University of Dhaka in Bangladesh, and the professor in charge of that course, Professor Alam, I met at a conference, I think maybe last year. Yeah. And also at the University of Vienna, Austria, there's a program as well. I haven't met Dr. Pokorny offhand, however, I've met one of his students, Gregory, makes his round on the conferences quite often. Okay, here's some pictures of the Holy See. This would be during a worship ceremony. Cao Daist laity, and sometimes not laity, sometimes you can see upper clergy, tend to dress in white. White is the color of Cao Daism. Red being Confucianism, yellow Buddhism, and blue Taoism. Okay, there's the left eye of God. And here we have an interesting image of kind of a pantheon of saints. In the center we can see Buddha. Then, let's see, there would be Confucius in red on his right, Lao Tzu on his left. Then we have the Tang Dynasty poet Li Bai. Guan Gong, the Emperor Guan from China. Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara on the left side, commonly known as Guan Yin. Then we can see Jesus. And below Jesus we have Jiang Ziya, who was kind of a military strategian. Okay, the Three Saints picture I think we saw in a different presentation. And we see Sun Yat-sen, who's actually holding the inkstone for Victor Hugo and for the Vietnamese poet laureate, Nguyen Binh Khiem. And Nguyen Binh Khiem was also a sort of Nostradamus-esque figure who made many predictions, including one of the poems he wrote had the first written use of the name Vietnam. At the time he wrote it, I think it was French Indochina? Ah, yes. Okay, running out of time. If you have questions, please address them to Reverend Kang. And can play the video.
Dao Cao Dai, or the Great Way of the Third Universal Salvation, is a young religion founded in 1926 through Spiritism messages by God, who called himself head of the religion, as well as modestly called Master. Cao Dai means the highest tower in God's kingdom, which is where God reigns. Tamed in the Holy See, which was constructed using the local temporary materials in the early days, has now become one of the most popular cultural, tourism, and spiritual centers in Tay Ninh City, southern Vietnam. The total number of its followers is approximately 5 million, making it the fastest growing religion in Vietnam. The Confucianism's doctrine associates with the three main religions, Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism, and with the 5 branches of the Great Way, Confucianism, Jainism, Christianity, Taoism, and Buddhism. Religious activities take place all year round in the Holy See and local communities. The 2 largest festivals of Confucianism are the festival to commemorate God the Father on the 9th day of the first lunar month, and the festival to commemorate the Holy Goddess Mother on the 15th day of the lunar August. These religious activities attract hundreds of thousands of pilgrims and tourists from all over Vietnam and overseas every year. Council of Cao Dai, Tay Ninh Holy See, has developed strong diplomatic relationships with other large religions in the world, such as Fomoto in Japan, Taoyuan and Wen Sing Shenzhou in Taiwan, or Dai Tsun Jin Riho in South Korea. In addition, the Sacerdotal Council and the Cao Dai Overseas Missionary have already made several presentations at different universities in America, France, Austria, Italy, Japan, and many other countries to introduce Caodaism to professors, students, and those people who are interested. The Cao Dai tamed in the Holy See and its followers are making every effort to make this young religion a universal religion for all living beings. It is hoped that Caodaism will become more and more popular in the near future.
Okay, thanks to Jason, those of us who were at the Festival of the Holy Mother Goddess last month have fond memories, and it's really a large event. Now we continue by introducing Weixin Shenjiao from Taiwan, and we have Fiona Chang. She's a doctoral candidate in Taiwan and also a representative of Weixin Shenjiao, and she will help us learn more about this religion.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Fiona Zhang Xinfang. I'm from Taiwan, Weixin Shenjiao. I'm very honored to be here, and I'm so happy to have this session with my best international friends, Taisun Jin Li Hui. And I thank Professor Massimo to preside this session for us. I'm the director of the Center for Religious Affairs, and I follow the founder of Weixin Shenjiao, Grandmaster Hunyuan Chanshi, for 30 years. Now I'm doing my PhD on religious studies in Shenzhen University. And what is Weixin Shenjiao? Literally, it means the sacred teaching of mind only. The mind here refers to the heart in traditional Chinese culture. And this chart we are very familiar with. This is the United Nations Sustainable Development Summit, and they announced the purpose 17 sustainable development goals for human beings. And listed the top 3 are poverty and hunger and quality of life. And so we would like to ask what a new religion can do for the 3 purposes. And I would like to introduce a new religion, Weixin Shenjiao, how to try to face the problems. Yeah, they have 3 methods. They are I Ching, or somebody say I Ching, and Feng Shui, and religious practice. What is I Ching? Somebody say I Ching is the Book of Change. It's the leading book of the 5 Chinese classes, and is regarded as the Chinese cultural orthodox that provides moral teachings, philosophical wisdom, and the methodology for divination. And the divination I Ching is also a guideline for self-practice and cultivation that they want to achieve the correlative cosmology of the body and mind. It is the so-called the 天人合一 in Chinese. And in addition, when used in business management in terms of predicting the outcome of an investment or the prospects of a production line, it provides methods for cooperations to create profits by avoiding unfavorable occurrence, which fosters the well-being of humanity. And what is Feng Shui? Feng Shui is the principle of the energy flow is the element of the universe, the primordial drive of the birth and decay for every being in the universe. It's also the invisible energy that connects mankind. Feng Shui directs human beings to live in accordance to nature and conserve our Mother Earth. The human body embodies Feng Shui as well. Why? Because Feng literally means wind. Shui means water. Wind and water are the origin of the universe. And our breath is wind. Our blood in the body is water. Therefore, humans influence and correlate with the living environment and the universe. And the third method is religious practice. Weixin Shenjiao adopts the core values of the Oriental religions. And you see the Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism, as well as the rites and practice of folk beliefs. Weixin Shengjiao prays to heaven for benediction, educates people, and inspires their spiritual minds so as to recuperate the laws of morality resulted from capitalism and consumerism. And let's get a deeper understanding of Weixin Shengjiao. I'm going to introduce the Supreme God, immortal lineage, founder, historical background, doctrine, and scripture of Weixin Shengjiao. The Supreme God of Weixin Shengjiao is Gui Guzi, Wangchan Laozu. And Gui Guzi is the originator of the school of diplomatic strategy during the warring state period in China. And he established the first military school in ancient China. People call him Wangchan Laozu and worship him. This is the pedigree, the pantheon of Weixin Shengjiao. You can see in the center, in the middle is Gui Guzi, and above him is Fu Xi and Nu Wa and Zhou Li Shiyou Emperor and Yellow Emperor and Shen Nong Yan Emperor. And besides him are the deities. There are 33 heavenly kings and 72 heavenly masters. Within the cosmos is a three-dimensional space. So who sits in the center? Who holds the power to save human? So our Supreme God is Gui Guzi. This is our founder, Grand Master Hunyuan Chanshi, and now he is 75 years old. He was born in the rural countryside in Nantou City. Originally, he was a survey engineer. In 1982, due to renal illness, he sought for religious spiritual healing power. Since then, he has embarked on his religious practice journey and completed correlative cosmology with Gui Guzi. And he received the revelation and instruction directly from Gui Guzi and succeeds in mastering I Ching and Feng Shui. Then, Grandmaster and Gui Guzi integrate together. They become one. This is the so-called Tianren Heyi. Now, Weixin Shengjiao is the 28th religious organization registered legally under the Ministry of the Interior. Yeah, in Taiwan. Yeah, and there are abundant knowledge of Weixin Shengjiao. So I would like to introduce some important. We pray for the nation, and we do cultivate for the people. This is our aim. Our aim to do good, to benefit the nation and the people. And we have a verse of the Eight Truths. The Eight Truths say, people who study I Ching, he will have health, he will be healthy, wealthy, he will have a good job, he will run his business well, and his children will be very clever, and all the people can see the peace. Regarding organization and scale, we have 43 branch temples in Taiwan and 15 branch temples and offices overseas. And this is the origin of Weixin Shengjiao. It's our headquarters, Chanjishan Xianfo Temple. We have two Bagua, a trigram holy city. One is located in Taiwan. Another is located in Henan province in China. And we also have 3 temples worshiping 3 ancestors in Hebei province in China. They are Yellow Emperor Temple, Zhou Li Shiyou Emperor Temple, and Shen Nong Yan Emperor Temple. As to the clergy, there are more than 200 masters and lecturers. They're learning and teaching I Ching every day. And regarding the believers, we have about 30,000 households of disciples. Our unit is family. Yeah, and how Weixin Shengjiao makes contribution to the world. This Dharma wheel contains 48 goals of seeking world peace, and they include religious rites such as scripture recitation, rituals, and ancestor worship ceremony. And we would like to transcend the merits to the spiritual world. How we gain the merits? We recite scriptures, we chant it, so we get us energy and transfer to the spirits. And Weixin Shengjiao strongly believes that the religious power generated from reciting scriptures can eliminate various kinds of disasters, such as SARS, birth crisis, ozone depletion crisis, sinkhole crisis, volcanic eruption, and Ebola epidemic virus, and war, famine, and wars. And every time we chant more than 50 million times of scriptures in each ritual. And I'm going to show you the video on the United Chinese and Ancestor Worship Ceremonies later. As to the education system, we have several units. One is Yijing University. We have 20,000 current students. And Weixin Shengjiao College, Children's Yijing Education Promotion, summer program for college students. And Overseas Chinese Yijing Feng Shui program, we have more than 400 trained overseas Chinese. And lecturer training program, Weixin Masters and PhD program, and Weixin TV station. This station attracts 10 million audiences all around the world. Yeah, regarding the social service, we emphasize factory feng shui inspection and improvement, business management counseling, and provision of supplies. Weixin Shengjiao is dedicated to improving the feng shui for businesses and helping them to profit. Businesses are the base to support the needs for human society. Facilitating the strong economic guarantees the sufficient life for mankind, which reduce chance of wars and conflicts caused by limited resources. So we help the Chinese people. We mainly help the Chinese people who live in China, Vietnam, Malaysia, America, and Canada, and Spain. We emphasize cross-strait exchanges. We would like to see the consensus between to land the consensus in cross-strait. We have 5 non-profit organizations. So now I'm going to play the video, the introduction video, which is 7 minutes.
The Dharma lineage of Weixin Shengjiao is Chinese culture and Yijing Feng Shui. Weixin Shengjiao emphasizes that having obtained peace and security in one's life by the means of Yijing Feng Shui, one has to actively help others and serve the society. Practicing altruism in all its forms is a method of self-cultivation and elevates spiritual wisdom. At present, Weixin Shengjiao has already helped several million households to improve their situations thanks to the wisdom on Yijing Feng Shui. There are 100,000 Virtus Fellows actively learning Yijing Feng Shui. However, there are more than 1 million believers of Weixin Shengjiao, which is a truly distinctive Taiwanese new religion. Weixin Shengjiao Chenjishan Xianfo Temple headquarters cover the area of 5 hectares. Every year, Weixin Shengjiao holds large-scale rituals, encourage believers to jointly chant sutras, having already exceeded 10 million volumes, and together pray for an elimination of hunger and wars in the world, praying for blessings for the whole humanity. There are 43 branch temples in different parts of the world, which regularly hold religious rituals and provide social and educational service. Eighth Trigram Holy City is planned as a site of the Man Otter Temple and covers the area of more than 30 hectares. At present, basic buildings such as Heavenly Heart Pond and Southern Heavenly Gate have been finished. Above, there is the 8th Trigram Building Foundation, the 9th Dragon Wall. This foundation was first created in ink by Grand Master Wei Yuan Chanshi and then made into a relief sculpture through precision casting. The shape and style is unrestrained and majestic. In 2018, this will be the site of the 25 meters tall golden statue of Wang Chan Laozu, originator of the teaching, which will mark the new direction for the world peace. Weixin Shengjiao College buildings are built in a characteristic Chinese style and are equipped with a variety of modern educational facilities. At present, there are over 1,000 students in master program. In addition, in cooperation with partner schools, organizes international classes on Yijing Feng Shui, which are open to all interested foreigners. Weixin Shengjiao Yijing University corresponds to the UN vision of better world through lifelong learning. Weixin Shengjiao has opened Yijing Feng Shui lifelong learning classes all over the world. Every day, there are more than 400 lessons all over Taiwan. Over 20,000 students learn at the same time. Every year, over 3,000 students complete the courses. The students have been already learning for 24 years, have all attended the graduation ceremonies held every year. For 12 years in a row, Weixin Shengjiao has held the Peace for 21st Century and Chinese United Ancestors Worship Ceremony. World peace starts with ancestors. 5,000 years of Chinese civilization lead to accumulation of good and bad emotions, and ancestor worship ceremonies resolve grievances, release karmic bonds, placate ancestors' heart and soul, and promote filial piety. Every year, over 30,000 local and overseas Chinese people participate in the ancestor ceremony led by Grand Master Wei Yuan Chanshi. President, Vice President, government dignitaries, and representatives of the Chinese people from many countries arrive to participate in the ancestor ceremony. For over a decade, Weixin Shengjiao has been organizing symposiums, actively participating in international exchange events on new religions, and contributing wisdom towards the goal of the world peace. In hope of promoting Weixin Shengjiao Yijing Feng Shui learning all over the world in the future, and together work towards creating real world peace.
So thank you. Now we have Professor Lee Jun-won of Daejeon University in Pocheon, Korea. He is a familiar face in international conferences about new religions from many years. He has a number of wonderful students who are following in his footsteps and doing good research. Some are here. And he will talk about Daesun Chiliwe.
Good afternoon. My name is Lee Kyung-won, professor of Daejeon University in Korea. I'm very nice to meet you here in Toronto. This is my turn. Previously, two presenters introduced the representative East Asian new religions. And then this is my turn in Korea. We can go to the Korea Peninsula. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. This is the figure, the founder of the Daesun religion's history. The name is Kang Jung-san. He was given birth on September 19, 1871. And now he is worshipped as the supreme god of the ninth heaven in Daesun Chiliwe. And he is regarded as having carried out great works such as reordering the universe and humanity. And now, the present time, we have three main lineage of religious leaders in Daesun Chiliwe. You can see the three main persons. The first person was 1871, and the second person is the 1895. And he actually established the first religious order in the history of Daesun Chiliwe. And now the name of Daesun Chiliwe is established by the third person. The name is Park Woo-dang. He was given birth in 1917, until 1996 he passed over.
Can you speak a little bit louder?
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, so you can see that the three persons of the lineage of religious leaders. Yeah. In order to save the time, I'd like to show you the introduction film. Yeah, this movie is very recently made by the Daesun headquarters. So first, I'd like to show you.
The computer doesn't have the codecs.
Yeah, because my file is included in the PPT file, so the file is very big, so I'd like to use the USB. Yeah. It's okay. It takes about 10 minutes.
The world is characterized by interconnectedness. Rivers flow into the sea. Today continues into tomorrow. I have become connected to every single thing in the world. Blessings are returned to me when I promote the betterment of others. After all hatred and grievances have been resolved, peace shall arrive in the world. This is mutual beneficence, the principle that enables humankind to achieve happiness. It is the teaching of Kangjungsan, the supreme god of the ninth heaven, who heralded Taesun truth unto the world. Spirit, natural, and human were about to be annihilated due to an overflow of conflicts. To save these three realms, the supreme god of the ninth heaven descended to Korea under the name of Kangjungsan in 1871. We know him as Sangje, our god, and the object of belief in the fellowship of Taesun truth, Taesun Jiliwe. Through the resolution of grievances for mutual beneficence, Sangje severed heaven, earth, and humanity's bonds to the grievances that had amassed since time immemorial. He opened up the way of mutual beneficence to resolve all the problems plaguing the world. First, promote the betterment of others. No matter how minor, refrain from any action that will accrue hatred against you, and always understand and consider others first. This is the morality heralded by Sangje that is needed to make the world peaceful. Sangje taught that one should reciprocate the immeasurable favors in life received from one's parents, neighbors, nation, and from nature, as this cures the illness of the world and enables the establishment of an earthly paradise. This is the principle of the grateful reciprocation of favors for mutual beneficence. Cho Jung-san, our holy founder, succeeded the religious orthodoxy through a revelation from Sangje, founded the religious order Mukukdo in 1925, and spread Sangje's teachings. The core of the teachings are the virtuous concordance of yin and yang, harmonious union between divine beings and human beings, the resolution of grievances for mutual beneficence, and perfected unification with Tao. After Cho Jung-san, our holy founder, established the dharmas of cultivation and the basis of the order, he transmitted the religious orthodoxy to the holy leader Pak Wudang. The holy leader founded Taesun Jiliwe in 1969 and built the order's major temple complexes. In addition, he established propagation to transmit Sangje's Tao, edification to enable people to understand the truth, and cultivation to put that truth into physical and mental practices as the three basic works. Through this, he remarkably expanded the congregation of the order. This evolution led to the three major works of social welfare, education, and charity aid, through which the holy leader actualized Sangje's teachings and Toju's dharmas. The most luminous court in the world is this temple complex, where Sangje's teachings still linger. In 1986, this, our largest temple complex, was built through the sincerity of the order's devotees. Over 2 million Tao cohorts flow in and out each year to cultivate themselves according to Sangje's teachings. Yangde, the shrine of gods, where Sangje and other divine beings of heaven and earth have been enshrined. Changge Pagoda, which symbolizes the Tao of the universe. And Daewon Bell, Great Wish Bell, which is embedded with all wishes, are situated alongside 40-odd structures on a vast site of 170,000 square meters. And the holy works to establish an earthly paradise have never stopped for even a single second. Tosang Training Temple Complex is located between the fountainhead of Kumgang Mountain and the Indigo East Sea. The 13 structures here, including a rest center, on a site of 117,000 square meters, are constantly visited by cultivators and devotee families. Facing the icon of Maitreya aloft sky high, one's mind lies in solemnity. The blush of the splendid azaleas colors the heart. The toll of great wish bell purifies the body and mind. This place is not only optimized for cultivation, but also for training. Aside from those two, there is also Seoul Jungok Temple Complex, where Taesun Jiliwe first began. Pocheon Cultivation Temple Complex, which embraces Taejin University. And Jeju Training Temple, a temple for training Tao cohorts. We have established over 3,000 fellowship buildings, fellowship halls, and propagation centers, both domestically and overseas, to spread Sangje's teachings. Which among the world religions could put such tremendous efforts into charity and social services? From the Japanese colonial period onward, approximately 70% of all monetary contributions collected by the order have been used for providing aid. Taesun Jiliwe is the only religious order to have done this. Equipped with the best medical staff and cutting-edge facilities, Bundang Jaeseng General Hospital has saved precious lives. Dongducheon Jaeseng General Hospital and Kosung Jaeseng General Hospital now await their openings. Taesun Jiliwe Welfare Foundation tries to reciprocate our grace to seniors by providing them with a comfortable geriatric care facility, the most advanced nursing hospital, a welfare center for seniors, and other such structures. Furthermore, Taesun Jiliwe practices a variety of volunteer activities and services to make the world a better place wherein all people are well off. Taesun Jiliwe fosters emerging talents through Taejin University and 6 prominent high schools such as Taejin High School and Taejin Girls High School, establishing a foundation for education. We lead the way through enhancing holistic education for adolescents each year by holding vacation camps for primary, middle, and high school age students. Taejin University has been fostering global talents through programs connecting our home campus to 2 Taejin campuses in China, a first for a Korean university. Taejin University has also created a growth engine for local vitalization by establishing Gyeonggi Taejin Techno Park. Ever since its foundation, Taesun Jiliwe has been aiding the needy and the physically challenged. In 2013, Taesun Jiliwe established DIVA, Taejin International Volunteers Association, to aid developing countries in need of housing, medicine, sponsorship, and education. By efficiently working on relief, DIVA continues to win international interest. The contributions and volunteer services of Taesun Jiliwe, in accordance with the resolution of grievances and grateful reciprocation of favors for mutual beneficence, have come to resonate throughout the world. Finding an affinity with our way of mutual beneficence, religious leaders and scholars have visited our temple complexes, studied Taesun thought, and spread Taesun truth. Taesun Jiliwe organizes the World Sangseng Forum every year and supports various religious academic associations throughout the world, as well as the Summit of World Religious Leaders. We are spreading a vision of peace through mutual beneficence all over the world. Me sows seeds of hatred and grudges, and fans the flames of conflicts and duels. However, flipping me into we is the beginning of mutual beneficence. This is done when we love others just as we love ourselves. Engraving the teaching of mutual beneficence upon one's heart, promoting the betterment of others, and practicing love and generosity. People who do this are the agents of the resolution of grievances and grateful reciprocation of favors for mutual beneficence. We are Taesun Chiliwe.
Yeah, thank you. The movie clip is recently produced, and then I just like to make a compliment for your understanding about the Taesun Jiliwe's doctrine. Yeah, as you know, this Taesun Jiliwe has the several main temples complexes, and then there are 1,000 more the fellowship buildings and assembly halls and devotee families. Devotee families is about 1 million households now, and as you saw that there are three main social works like the charity works and then the social welfare works and the education works. So I belong to the Daejeon University. It's a general university. You can see the first photo of these 9 photos. And just I'd like to make some compliment for the doctrine. The main doctrine of Taesun Jiliwe is the Haewon Sangseng. These photos are concerned about this doctrine. What is the Haewon Sangseng? The main terminology of the one has the Chinese character. Possible that every movie clip it doesn't work. I'd like to skip this one. So you can see the Chinese character of the Haewon Sangseng. You can understand what does the 4 characters mean. As you know, the one Chinese character includes a lot of meanings. The main meanings cited in here, according to the dictionary. He means the main meaning is the reserve, and one means the grudge or grievance or resentment or hatred, anger. This is a negative meaning. And then another positive meaning is the desire and hope and wish and dream. These 2 kind of meaning also included in one. And sang means mutual and together and helping and relation, relying on or a chain. It means it's related to each other. And the sang means life, living, grow, saving, produce, create, beneficence. So you can imagine what Haewon Sangseng means. And now the official translation of the Haewon Sangseng is like this. A resolution of grievances for mutual beneficence. Even though this translation is not perfect, but you can imagine, according to the previous dictionary meaning, then Haewon Sangseng means like this translation. So I think that this basic implications behind Haewon Sangseng means the 4 kind of the context. The first one is the all phenomena and events within the universe, including humankind, harbor their own one. These one have all arisen from antagonistic relationships characterized by mutual contention. And the second, these one are in need of radical resolution. This one came from the very ancient society. And we have to seek or find this original one, and then resolve this one, and then you can get a peaceful paradise in your future. And the third one, the implication is that everyone is connected to all phenomena and events in the human realm, and also to all human interactions. And fourth one must actively help other people and work towards their betterment. This is the way one becomes good and attains happiness. According to this implication, there is 5 ethical commandments. The first one is to not deceive yourself. And the second one is practice virtuous speech. And the third one is to not provoke grievances or grudges from others. And the fourth one is to not disregard the beneficence bestowed upon you. These commandments has attached by my interpretation. You can see below my interpretation. For example, the first one, do not disregard the beneficence bestowed upon you. It means that we must awaken to the reality of the forms of beneficence that we have been given in our lives. This can be seen immediately in heaven and earth, our nations, parents, teachers, and professions. Therefore, Heaven Sangseng calls upon us to maintain a constant awareness of the fact that we receive beneficence from all other beings, phenomena, and events, and thereby always act to promote the betterment of others. The basic doctrine is based on everyone is connected together. Everyone has the same root. Yeah. The fifth one is to promote the betterment of others. This commandments is very connected with the heaven sangseng. The sangseng means promoting the betterment of others. So I'm always fundamentally connected to others, and as such, I should recognize that promoting the betterment of others is a path that also promotes my own betterment. So in conclusion, all of the previously mentioned teachings that are implemented in society are none other than the social works of Daesun Jilihue that are practiced now today. Yeah. Okay, that's it. My presentation is like this. Thank you so much. You can see most of us included in these photos.